Bosnia, 3 months after the guns fell silent. The shattered remnants of this once beautiful country bear witness to the unparalleled destruction wrought by the most bitterly fought European conflict since 1945. The peace brokered by the US, Britain and the other members of the five-nation contact group at Dayton, Ohio in November 1995 succeeded in halting the bloodshed. But the uneasy truce which Dayton imposed on bitter enemies could only be ensured by the introduction of an international peace implementation force into Bosnia. Set up under NATO command, this force, known as IFOR, divided responsibility for Bosnia between the American, French and British forces. This was NATO's first ever ground force operation, and alongside member states, 14 other nations contributed forces, including former Cold War adversaries. IFOR's military strength demonstrated their right to respond with decisive force to any breach of the peace. This new mandate was welcomed by the British forces, who had served in Bosnia since February 1992, protecting the UN's humanitarian operations.
January the 7th came. It was a cold, wet Sunday morning, very early. Got to Teesside Airport. And it was quite funny, all the civilians there looking, and all these guys walked in combat silent, big massive rucksacks, and what these guys on, and ding dong, flight so-and-so, so-and-so, from Teesside to Split, and all these civvies realising we were these guys who had to come and do a job for IFOR.
For most of the British forces assigned to IFOR, this was their first experience of Bosnia.
I couldn't believe it. It was vandalism and a massive destruction. I don't think there was a house standing. And if it was, it hadn't been looted yet and hadn't been set on fire.
The first thing that shocked me was the state of the place, the scale. More than anything, it was the scale of what had gone on. When you see it reported on the news in the UK, it makes it seem as though it's sort of isolated incidents in the war. There's been a patch here, there's been a patch there. Whereas when you actually see it for yourself, as soon as you go into Bosnian territory, which is now Bosnia, it's just everywhere. The whole place, it's the scale of it. The whole country has been ravaged by war.
I was up a village a couple of days ago, and there's a woman up there. She was Muslim and her husband was Serb, so he's on one side of a checkpoint and she's on another. She was getting threats and such like from people who lived around the area, and it's quite sad to see. And she had quite a few children.
In January, the British soldiers established themselves in northern Bosnia, uncertain of what awaited them. The countryside, ravaged by the war, presented an eerie landscape of barren fields, dead animals and abandoned homes.
IFOR is split into 3 territorial geographical divisions. I command the Southwest Division, and within that the UK forces are without doubt the largest single nation contributing. We have a full armoured brigade, and all up there's about 10,000 Brits in my command.
The British Armoured Brigade are stationed in the midst of last autumn's front lines, standing between the Bosnian Muslim and Bosnian Serb forces. Under the terms of Dayton, a 4-kilometre-wide zone of separation had been agreed to keep the armies apart. Warrior armoured vehicles carry out regular patrols in this no-man's land. To monitor compliance with the ceasefire, the army has established outward bases at the midpoint of the zone. These isolated observation posts, surrounded by minefields, are home to the small groups of British soldiers who are at the front line of the peace implementation operation.
This is our outstation, Bondi Beach. This is where we live. We've got 27 guys live here. Normally, with ours down about 23, 24. But normally 27 guys housed in here. About 40 minutes away from anybody who near us help.
Yeah, they're okay.
We knew when we came here, everyone knew it was going to be no picnic. We knew that it wasn't going to be easy. When we moved in, I mean, for the first sort of best part of a month, we were living in Bosanski Petrovac in a field in like -30 weather conditions. It was just the nature of the beast. I was up there for about 4 or 5 days without heating in the tents, and that was basically, you'd never seen people in bed so much. As soon as you had half an hour off, they were in bed because it was the only place you could get warm.
What can I say about it? January. It's a very cold place, and living in a tent, it's very uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, we had a job to do, and you just kept on smiling. And it doesn't matter what sort of kit you had. We had some of the best kit and some of the best training, physically as well as mentally. We were still cold.
After weeks of living in the open countryside, the Queen's Royal Hussars established their battle group headquarters in the largely abandoned town of Cluj.
When we originally found this location, it was an old truck repair yard that did take us 3 to 4 days, clearing out buildings. There's a lot of rotten food stored up, carcasses of vehicles and animals, and that took a lot of scraping and brushing and cleaning. And then the main regiment, who'd been living in a field, they moved down into this location and got it set up as some sort of area to live in. We work on what we call a hub and spoke system, where we are the hub here in the headquarters, and we've got the spokes going out to our sub-unit locations. It was also very important that the commanding officer felt to be in the town itself, to be able to have good contact with the locals and really get IFOR's message across.
Outside the camp, Cluj was a depopulated ruin, its former inhabitants having fled the fighting which followed its occupation by the Bosnian Serb army.
This place was a ghost town, really. It was only inhabited by sort of 8 to 10 soldiers, and that was it. There was no one else here. The place had been ravaged. It was in a very bad state. As first appearances go, I thought, well, you know, is there much point in moving into this place? Obviously, we're right beside the zone of separation between the warring factions. Obviously, at a tactical point of view, it was a very good move. But at the time, we thought that, you know, there wouldn't be a lot of point moving here because there was no one here.
Patrolling out from Cluj in their Challenger tanks, the army were a highly visible presence in the surrounding countryside and a gradual source of reassurance to the Muslim population.
Once the locals realised we were moving in, the word went round and the place started to open up. More people arrived, shops opened, and so the whole town started coming alive.
2.5 months on, the place is bustling with life. It's buzzing. A lot of people have moved back in. They're beginning to get the town back on its feet again. The economy is beginning gradually to rise. Shops are beginning to be full again, but whereas before there was no shops open whatsoever, now the shops are not only open but quite well stocked as well. It's beginning to get there. It's beginning to get there.
Generally speaking, the whole process of implementing the military provisions of Dayton has gone really, I think, better than anybody thought it would do, certainly back in December, before transfer of authority. So, given that we need to keep the force at the present level or thereabouts for deterrence to make sure that there is no sliding back, it seems to me that there is some spare capacity, therefore, and it's in this area that the whole question of civil-military interface, what we call G5, civil affairs, begins to grow in importance.
In Cluj, the gradual return of the Muslim population has led to the re-establishment of the civil authority. Major Keith Deacon, the officer responsible for liaising with the local council, holds regular meetings with Council President Ismet Horencic. These meetings enable the army to assist the local population in the reconstruction of the town.
Quite friendly with both the mayor, the chief of police, and with the headmasters of the schools, and we have good, amicable chats. I see them every day, and obviously they see IFOR as a means of helping their problems.
One such problem is to be found at the camp itself.
This is a transport place where they repair and service vehicles. And so, obviously, when the Serbs took over, they just utilised what vehicles they can and left the rest lying around. When we did a town clean-up about 2 weeks ago, we took the forklift truck downtown, and there were cars just lying all over the town, abandoned, no wheels, no engines. So we lifted all them up. We've dumped those over the back in a scrap heap that you can see there. What they want us to do is just to clear the entrances and around the sides here so they can actually start work again. The buildings along this side are still full of stores, so they're able to repair vehicles once they get vehicles. And that's the main problem, shortage of transport. The Serbs, when they went, took all available vehicles that could move with them. So they're very strapped for any type of public service vehicle at all. What I've done this afternoon is set up the forklift and the crane to see if that was adequate to move the wreckage that you've got down the bottom. But unfortunately it's not. We need more heavy lifting gear.
The yard's owner, Fakhruddin Chemel, is one of the many local Muslims who have returned to Cluj, and he is eager to reopen his business.
Maybe next week if possible.
The problem that we have with the coals crane that we've got at the moment, the maximum weight it can lift is 14 ton.
Problem što imamo samo sad izolacioni, maksimalna težina što može da povede je 14 tona.
Landmines remain the greatest threat to life in Bosnia. Often sown indiscriminately during the final desperate days of fighting, few records remain of their location.
There are a lot of minefields which are not well recorded, if at all. A conservative estimate of the number of mines which are in or on the ground here are 1 to 2 million. And that's a huge number. I mean, a lot of work has been done, particularly along the original zone of separation, particularly in western Bosnia, where the country was fought over in large areas last autumn.
The countryside is littered with abandoned munitions, and a team of Malaysian engineers working within the British sector on the mine clearance operation discover a cache of anti-tank shells in a ruined house. Scattered amongst the debris which surrounds the building are dozens of live landmine fuses, each of which contains enough explosive to remove a child's hand. It has been estimated that it could take 30 years to clear Bosnia of this deadly legacy of war.
Very sadly, every week one sees some poor civilian either being killed or losing a leg or whatever. And I fear this will go on until they're all removed. But it's a huge task.
One of the practical steps which the army is taking to tackle the problem of mines is to conduct regular mine awareness lectures at the school in Cluj. Children and teenagers are the most frequent victims, and the army engineers try to impress upon them the danger they represent.
Okay, in this mine here, you've got 100 grams of TNT. And what this is going to do, 100 grams, again, if you're unlucky, it's going to take your leg off at the hip. If you're not so lucky, it'll take your leg off at the knee. It's going to cause you a lot of damage. The reason I mention what these mines can do to your body is because that's the only way people remember and get scared about mines. Otherwise, people will become complacent and they don't listen. This one here is called the Emrud. The way this works is either they have tripwires running off it, so you hit the tripwire with your legs, this goes off, and you get 600 ball bearings hitting you in the face or in the body.
The school in the town centre there, 2/3 of the children there are orphans. So that it's fed by the state, and they're actually fed 1 meal a day by the state, so that the ones that aren't orphans as well, when they do go home of an evening, the parents actually don't really have to worry about feeding them, because the more important things on the mind, like getting the house together and seeing if we can get some sort of work sorted out. And there is a lot of children. The kids are like children all over the world. They're great fun. Always glad to see a soldier and glad to come up and have a chat and kick a football about with you, so there's no difference there, sort of thing.
And we do a lot of work for the school, for them to get started back up again. The heating system needed the wood. Well, they didn't have the equipment or the trucks to get the wood, so they came knocking on our door. We got a team up together, chainsaws. So where they went, cutting the trees down, come to the school had heating, the kids could go to school.
With families of their own, many of the soldiers take a special interest in the plight of the children.
My son in England at school.
Ja imam sina u Engleskoj isto u školu, vaših godina.
He was the same age as you.
Istih godina.
My son and his classmates wanted to know if they could write letters and send little gifts.
to children of the same age in the village of Kulen in Bosnia. We talked about it and said it was quite a good idea. The children then went ahead and wrote little letters enclosing photographs, drawings and sweets that they brought out of their pocket money. I think everybody felt for the women and children. See what these children have actually gone through and are probably still going through.
The school in Kulen now has over 800 pupils, and with more families returning to the area every day, the school population is growing by an average of 35 children every week. Working with few resources in overcrowded classrooms, the school has been forced to run classes in shifts.
The kids like to see us. They come chasing after us for sweets. It's a big thing. There's a little lad that comes to the gate, and the boys have called him Eddie. He's a lovely little lad. And every time I come in, you know, Eddie's there, he looks, waves. I look down, oh look, there's a Mars bar. I slow down, open the window, come to a stop. Yeah, Eddie. And he's learning some English. He's actually learned how to say please, thank you. And he knows quite a lot of the lads' names. They go, hello Eddie, hello Paul.
I'm an optimist by nature, and there is no point, it seems to me, in coming here to implement the Dayton Agreement and saying either to yourself or indeed worse publicly, it's never going to work, because in which case you may as well not bother. So I think you've got to go to it with a will. You've got to go to it with a view that this is the best chance this country's got. There's nothing else on offer. Certainly nothing better. It's the best chance they've got, and we're here to help them make the best of that best shot.
IFOR is here first of all to serve the peace in accordance with its mandate. However, the help that IFOR is giving to the town of Kulen and its people is enormous, especially with the water supply, where they are helping us to repair the pumps. Also with the refuse collection and the rebuilding of damaged roads and bridges. I think that what they have done until now could be assessed as very successful, and we are very pleased with it.
Dosadašnji rad se može cijeniti vrlo uspješnim I mi smo zadovoljni na tome postu.
Kulen camp, 2 months after the army moved in, is no longer an outpost in a ghost town. The local council estimates that so far 10,000 people from an original population of 38,000 have returned to their homes. The soldiers based in Kulen are now halfway through their 6 months tour of duty, and as they relax in the evening, they can reflect on the experience of Bosnia.
I remember the kids, and an old woman, most definitely an old woman that I remember. I'll give her a hot drink, hot cup of coffee, like she was sobbing, and she was trying to, you know, absorb every inch of the warmth that, like, the cup had to offer.
The thing that got me is you go through a village or a town, you'd see 3 houses perfectly intact, nothing wrong with them, and then the next house will be totally burnt out. Then you go along the 2 houses and the next house will be totally burnt out. And it was just the ethnic cleansing in that town.
They seem to be glad that we're here because the results are becoming clear, like the power's starting to come on. The locals have got the confidence in us to move back into the areas that they've moved out of and haven't been able to go back to for 3 or 4 years. So I think it's working.
I'd certainly say it's been a humbling experience. After going to body exchanges, prisoner of war exchanges, I mean, the prisoner of war exchanges was really like something out of Schindler's List, like a scene from, you know, 1940s, not 1996. You couldn't actually believe it was happening, let alone happening in Europe as well. So things like that is very, very humbling, because you look at these people, they've got just a small bag with all the worldly possessions. They've been incarcerated for God knows how long, and what they're moving back to, their hometown could potentially be like this one was, and like a lot of places are just completely ruined by war. So what do they have to move back to? You look at them and you think, well, you know, by comparison, we don't realise how lucky we are. We've got no problems by comparison to these people, really haven't.
It's just trying to give them a taste of reality back, because when you do go to war, you lose all reality. and basically they've got nothing to live for, so the only thing they can do is fight, because that's all they've known for the past so many years. But hopefully, with the length of time they've been at peace now, they should grow to like it, hopefully.
The war in Bosnia has cost the lives of an estimated 300,000 people. It has destroyed whole communities, set neighbour against neighbour, and left the survivors with a country in ruins. The Dayton Peace Accord and the efforts of the men and women who have helped to implement it has given Bosnia a sustained period of peace. And in keeping with IFOR's 12-month mandate, it is creating the conditions under which a civil administration can run the country in peace and the people of Bosnia rebuild their lives out of the rubble of the past.